Welcome to the High Ground Podcast. I'm Stevie.
And Callum.
And today we're back with In Defense of.
Yay.
And today we're in defense of.
Die Another Day. Good God. What have we done?
Yeah, this is actually going to be one of the more interesting ones, me thinking. Released in 2002, which is the 40th anniversary of Eon's James Bond series and the 20th James Bond movie. Directed by Lee Tamahori. Isn't he the director of...
Yeah, I feel like I know who that is.
I think he did Once for Warriors, if I'm right.
Yes, that's it, yeah.
And on a budget of 140. It grossed in the US 160 million, with a worldwide gross of $431 million.
How?
Yeah, this was and it was also the final James Bond in the original timeline.
Yeah, and Pierce Brosnan's a final as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did, if I'm right, was it 4?
Yeah.
4 James Bond.
4, yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, okay, I'm gonna start with saying, I saw this at the cinema.
As did I.
And it was only my third James Bond movie at the cinema. But I gotta admit, I really did enjoy it on first viewing.
Oh yeah, so did I. I mean, it was my third as well, funny enough. But I don't know, it's just one of those ones that you quickly thought afterwards, was that really as good as I remember? Yeah, it wasn't quite the Phantom Menace thing where years later everyone claims they hated it from the start. Like, I actually did like it, and then quickly thought, hang on, that maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
I don't know, you touch on the Phantom Menace that you just mentioned, how people loved it, hated it, and they're now beginning to come round to actually enjoying it again. Die Another Day is one of the ones that this is great. This is the 20th James Bond movie. This is, buy it on DVD because I remember how good it was at the cinema. And then you go, okay, second, third viewing. Now this is all right. Wait, then by the time you hit your fourth and fifth viewing, it's like, I'm not watching this again.
This
I'm not
dumb shit.
It's one of the ones that you have in your collection just to be a completist. There it is.
Yeah.
But it's all there. I mean, the opening, the pre-credits, which actually bleeds into the film itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it sets it up as being. It's fantastic having James Bond captured and interrogated for months.
I must admit, actually, rewatching it, what I did find quite good about the film was the action sequences are actually quite well directed. Like, it doesn't cut too much. There's, like you say, the hovercraft sequence at the beginning is really good.
Yeah.
In North Korea.
Yeah.
I actually, it's probably one of my. I actually do like it. It's probably one of my favourite opening sequences actually. Yeah. Because you've got the entry onto the bad guy's territory, and it actually does tie into the rest of the film, doesn't it? Unlike a lot of them.
And that's why I like. I mean, I like the whole thing of James Bond being captured, and they could have turned it into a revenge thing.
Yeah, I actually thought that's where they were going at first. It's something we hadn't seen before, really, isn't it? To that extent.
No, I mean, we've never. He's been captured, but never for
disavowed.
Months.
Yeah.
And the reference just after the credits to the cyanide when he's released, and how there's a rat amongst the camp, and both sides want to know who it is, and nobody knows. Oh, sorry, the mole. And everybody we don't know who the mole is, and it leaves it all open to be. Yeah. I mean, if you look at License to Kill, where he resigns.
Yeah, one of the many times he resigns.
Yeah, but to go on a revenge mission.
Yeah. I think that actually would have worked because they set the tone for it in License to Kill that Bond can be personal with things.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why they didn't go for that for this one, but I mean, I actually do like that line, the one you just mentioned about the cyanide pill, where she says, "Well, we gave you your cyanide pill," and he says, "I threw it away years ago." Yeah. I would never even need it. Because we all know Bond wouldn't crack under torture.
Yeah. He knows his fate. He accepts it. He says that.
I also think it's definitely unintentional because it was way before, but it kind of brings to mind the whole Silver thing with the cyanide pill, doesn't it? From
Yeah,
Skyfall,
that's what I think of.
He did actually take it, and it went wrong. You know, and it's that less glamorous side of being a spy, isn't it? Being caught and tortured, and it's quite sort of intense, the torture scenes. But then it just gets ruined by Madonna's fucking rubbish song.
As I call it. I mean,
Fire Shack, maybe? Is that 2001?
You got Gold Member, which is also Madonna. Is it Gold Member that's Madonna? Does the sound?
No, it was Spire Shagging, the one before.
Yeah. So you've got Madonna doing this, doing.
I never
soundtrack.
even made that connection there, actually. Yeah.
And I do think at times it does come across as Austin Powers 4. As it's the one line in that one of the lines I really detest.
I know which one you're gonna say.
Bond, I believe this is your watch, your 20th.
Yeah. Wink, wink.
Yeah, and it's the same scene with. I mean, we will touch on this later. The Vanish, the Aston Martin Vanish. Aston Martin call it the Vanquish. We call it the Vanish. And you're just thinking, give me a break.
Don't have a Q if it's not Q.
Yeah.
Okay, I love John Cleese, but
an ER or something in
miscast. Yeah.
In the World Is Not Enough.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think The World Is Not Enough. I think is another mediocre Bond film. I think that Tomorrow Never Dies and GoldenEye is in my top 5.
Perfection, isn't it? I mean, I've actually warmed to World Not Enough. Yeah, there's loads of things in it that should work, and they don't. I was talking about the action. The fencing scene's really good. I think that's quite a good action sequence.
Yeah.
It's really well choreographed, and you know, it's just Bond being Bond, isn't it? But then you've got things like the surfing.
Right, the tsunami.
Yeah, like what? Where does that come from? And even the car chase is good, well filmed, and like you want to see the gadgets, don't you? But I don't know. It's just things just don't seem to flow through to a logical conclusion in it.
I think the whole third act with the ice palace.
Yeah.
When you get to the that, and I thought that, even sets that they do on the sound, the old soundstage work for every other Bond film looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I found that the sets look too plastic. It reminded me of Batman and Robin in this, when they do the Vista Freeze.
100%.
And to me, that took me out of the film. And
they use diamonds as well.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah, because I mean, you've always got that expectation of like the Ken Adams grandiose, like sets that aren't necessarily like that. They don't have to be massive, but they have to feel massive. Like, I mean, even like the first ever set you see on Doctor No, in Doctor No's base, like for 1962, that was amazing. It still looks great today. And he had and the volcano layer as well. It's probably the best Bond set of them all. And yeah, you just don't get that sense. I mean, the last act is on a plane as well. It's claustrophobic, and I don't know. It just doesn't. Bond doesn't really seem to work when he's claustrophobic. Even Skyfall, it's outside spaces, and even like the scene with the house at the end. But they do eventually come out of the house. But yeah, I just think Die Another Day is like it's a weird film, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a Bond film after a certain point, I think.
I mean, for years I grew up with I'm Roger Moore era, and
I think I was as well, to be honest. I saw more of his film first
because he's the gateway for kids.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah.
But even that is more believable than some of the stuff in this. I mean, A View to a Kill, a great score.
Yeah.
But the film, no disrespect to Roger Moore, may he rest in peace, but he was a bit too old at that point.
He knew he was, didn't he? He even said, when he found out the Bond girl's mum was younger than him, he said it was time to hang up the holster.
But everybody was used to him, so
yeah.
When they tried to be gritty, I mean, Timothy Dalton, to me, is...
Oh, he's fantastic.
He is. And you can imagine Timothy Dalton's Bond being Daniel Craig's Bond.
Yeah.
Whereas Brosnan's Bond, you can see is a continuation of Connery's Bond, especially in GoldenEye.
GoldenEye, yeah, definitely, yeah. And then he sort of morphs into more, doesn't he?
Yeah.
By Die Another Day, I mean, it's a farce, isn't it?
Mm.
It's just, it feels like, like you say, it feels like a spoof. an Austin Powers movie.
It does.
At least Austin Powers is honest that it's spoofing. I know you're not a fan, are you?
No.
But it's openly a spoof, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
they're not pretending to be serious. Whereas I think Fight Never Day is sort of trying to convince you that it's still a Bond film.
It is, but it's the gadgets, or more, and it's
They get sillier and sillier, don't they?
I think they needed it to try and get. It's very audience friendly. I mean, I was.
Yeah.
You know, you can define it if you ever wanted to. And I didn't realise this until I was watching it for the podcast. But it's a perfect gateway Bond movie. If you wanted to show someone that's never seen a James Bond film, you don't stick them in Casino Royale. You don't stick them in From Russia with Love on Majesty's Secret Service.
Doctor No even.
Yeah.
I think things like Doctor No are too slow, and I think I don't know. Yeah, maybe Casino Royale's they're a bit too sort of dark, aren't they? Yeah, I've never even thought about it that way, but yeah, it's the perfect
It's got
way in.
Yeah, it's got every. Because you know, if you suddenly say to someone, because you're 25 Bonds, 24 as a recording, we've got 24 on release, or 25 on the way, with No Time to Die. Now, if you wanted to show someone, this is what you're going to get in all the other 24 Bond films. You'll have a bit of action, you'll have a bit of seriousness, and you'll have a bit of
silliness.
Yeah,
as well.
And that does encompass all the.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Actually, it's probably just changed my opinion on it a little bit. Actually, I think we're looking at it as hardcore Bond fans, aren't we?
Yeah.
What we want isn't quite there, but it's kind of like, I suppose it's like the Abrams Star Trek films, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not like hardcore Trek, but they made loads of money and loads of people got back into Star Trek because of them. So, do we not owe them something as well? Maybe Dino did that for a lot of Bond fans or people that wanted to be Bond fans.
For me, I 100% agree with you, because as soon as I remember when Die Another Day came out, they were doing in promotions buy Bond to get Bond free.
Yes, yeah.
So I was building up a DVD collection, so I was going out and buying the Bond films I'd never seen before. So it is like you said, it was good for that.
Yeah. I remember when Tomorrow Never Dies came out, there was a marathon on TV called 00 Heaven.
Nice.
And it was like a Bond from every week from the start. It was just in my element, you know.
I mean, I liked Bond when I was a kid. I went to see Living Daylights at the cinema. And then I went, then GoldenEye, which I wasn't a fan of on the original release. Now it's like, I define GoldenEye. You know, Xena on top is my favourite. I know she's not technically a Bond girl, but to me,
she's cool though.
She's
probably the best femme fatale, isn't she?
Yeah.
I actually, along with Electra King, I think she's a good villain in a not so good film.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry.
But it's the same with Bond anywhere, isn't it? Like, it's like Batman. You'd have to leave the planet to find someone who doesn't know who James Bond is, or has some semblance of what he does. Everyone's got their idea, like you say. Everyone's got their idea of what Bond is, or does, or was. And yeah, that is kind of the perfect film for them, to be honest, isn't it?
I mean, Bond is, you know, if you say he's royalty.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
It's just that he wasn't born into it.
Yeah, precisely, yeah. And he'd trump Jason Bourne any day in my eyes.
It's like, of course I do. If you're British, you have to know who James Bond is.
And what he drives.
Yeah. Wasn't there a Bentley in the book?
What was it? Yeah, 1933 Bentley with an Amherst Villiers engine. And there is actually a character called Villiers in Casino Royale.
These are diamonds.
Yes. Which is a link to the other worst Bond film.
Diamonds Are Forever. I did not. I actually thought it was alright, and then we were debating it a while ago, and I was like, you're actually right.
It commits the worst sin of all in a Bond film. It's boring. And I just... it's like Terminator 3, the only thing holding it together is the main star.
Yeah. I've got it. For me, they brought him back just as a cash cow to keep
Oh,
the
of course they
franchise
did, yeah.
alive.
I think he was paid the most of any actor at the time
Yeah.
to come back. But yeah, it's just even at least Die Another Day is somewhat enjoyable.
Yeah.
You can laugh at it, and at least that's it's like the same level of like, you know, like Street Fighter. It's nowhere near a good film, but it's you can put it on any time and you can enjoy it. I don't get that with Diamonds Are Forever.
It's one you have in your collection to be a completist.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, if you you know, for Sean Connery, and and I'm saying this only because everyone balls Goldfinger, but
Sorry, yeah, that's my fault.
Yeah, it's everyone literally. If you, it is a definitive one, but for me, it's From Russia with Love with Connery.
Russia Love's like an underdog one. Like people forget how good it actually is, because it was like they did a bit more than Doctor No, but not quite as much as Goldfinger. But it's the one that's important because it's the lead into Goldfinger. So I think, I would agree with that. That is. I mean, that fight on the train as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even find action sequences that good now.
Robert Shaw, Rick Grant is just
so good, isn't he?
Yeah,
I kind of mix him together with Quint, don't you? I always imagine Quint being like a grizzled version of Red Grant.
Yeah, which ties into Jaws, another film we love, which is Jaws, but
which also becomes a Bond villain.
Yeah, that's true. Didn't see that.
I just thought I saw it now.
Moonraker, another one that's better than Die Another Day with Jaws in. I actually
but very similar.
Yeah. OTT, that is.
Yeah.
Again, product of Star Wars, which you can also add. You can also add that Star Wars is also, you know, the effects company. It spawned ILM, which is heavy CG, which also goes to Die Another Day.
Yeah.
Which Die Another Day was actually was a product of the late '90s and the use of CG in it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and I suppose you could argue if it had been the critical success and everyone had loved it, maybe we wouldn't have had Casino Royale. We would have continued on this timeline.
No doubt. I mean, it's only the failures that dictate the change in direction, isn't it? I mean, like we said about Star Trek, Nemesis was terrible, so let's try something new, and maybe they wouldn't have done. Yeah, like you say, maybe they wouldn't have done that. Maybe they would have carried on, being silly. You know, like they did with License to Kill, didn't work, so let's reboot it again.
After a long time,
yeah.
Like Nemesis, it took a while for the JJ.
Yeah.
So, but you do need that time for people to forget.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, yeah.
Whereas with the Living Daylights, that came 2 years after A View to a Kill, and he was still too much in people's mind.
Yeah.
But going back to to defend as his defense of Die Another Day, people were still clutching on to this idealized version, the Connery Brosnan idea of what Bond should look like.
Yeah.
Because I remember websites, Daniel Craig or CraigNotBond.com, and people were literally slating it. I was like, I just want to see what he looks like. Then as soon as the first trailer dropped, everybody was like, all these assholes, pardon my language, were like suddenly changed their mind.
Yeah, and Bond's Not Blonde was one of them as well. Like, I always, for the first time, because my little rule with the next Bond is I don't believe it till I see it.
Yeah.
Same with like Batman and that. You know, you hear so much rumour nowadays. I just switch off. But from the time I saw him, you know that video where he's on the speedboat and he's got the life jacket on, I thought that looks like Bond. I can imagine that being Bond, you know. And I always thought he was going to be good. And then obviously, like, he was. Like, Casino Royale was amazing, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I think it. But it's a hard thing to always predict whether you're going to get a good Bond with the next actor. But I wouldn't say any of them have been bad.
George Lazenby in a great film, but he sabotaged himself
with his own attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of good Bond, but shit person at the time. I think he's acknowledged that though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he made mistakes.
Yeah.
But I was going to touch on the thing about you said about him on the speedboat.
Yeah.
Even the haters were pulling up that because he was wearing a safety jacket. It was insurance reasons.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't want to drown.
Yeah.
Like
they say, oh, James Bond wouldn't do that. It's an actor playing a part.
Yeah.
But they don't. These keyboard warriors, who know everything about films and know everything about their franchise that they're passionate about, don't understand the whole process. That if he'd gone out there and something had happened, the insurance companies would have went absolute psycho.
Yeah.
And bear in mind that they always do the bigger launches before they even shoot film, or around the time they just started production.
It would have delayed.
Yeah.
And like James Bond isn't real. Daniel Craig is.
Yeah.
They said they can't separate it sometimes, can they? It's like when we laugh about, you know, the great Carrie when she talks about like people talking to her about the Princess Leia, and she's like, "I'm Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
I'm not Princess Leia." You know, I just laugh at me.
I think it's what it was with you. I mean, I don't watch soap operas, but 20 odd years ago when I had to, you know, when I was doing my degree, and you know, I had to do some research, and you know, people treat actors in soaps as if they are the characters. And going on to what you were saying, people do think that, I mean, soaps more than anything, because they see them daily, it's like they become part, and people get grief for something that their fictional characters done.
Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, if anything, the writers did.
Yeah, I always go because I recently watched Game of Thrones for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was blown away by Ewan Ryan, the kid that played Joffrey, and David Bradley. I was like going, I really don't like the characters that they're playing, but they've played them so well.
Yeah,
I don't like them.
Yeah.
I really like the actors because they've got me hating them.
Yeah, which is
the
their
character.
job,
Sorry.
You know, and like Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
I can't stand the guy in that film, but a funny Bond relation there as well. But just, I mean, and that even ties into that, doesn't it? Your assumption that he will be a bad guy because you've seen him bad so many times. Or Ben Mendelsohn in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, it plays on that sort of, I don't know, stereotype that we think is going to happen and doesn't. And I think it's nice to see that in something like Bond.
Brilliant payoff in Skyfall at the end when Mallory walks in on Q.
Yeah.
And you know, they know what he's worked out what Q Branch is doing, and they're expecting to be shut down.
Yeah.
But he says, "No, you have to tell him to do this."
Yeah.
And he's with them and his relationships, which, mentioning Mallory, which brings us to M, Judi Dench. Interestingly, her last outing as M.
Yeah.
But in this timeline, and I think it's only fitting that Judi Dench is James Bond's last boss.
And first. Yeah.
And I think
there's no one else can play that part. I mean, I suppose Bernard Lee was the next.
Yeah. Like
he's the next best, isn't he? But she was born to play that role. Yeah. She's so fantastic at it.
I like the way that she's two different incarnations of the same character, and she treats it as two separate incarnations.
Yeah, and you can go to each, I don't know, timeline. You know, timelines M, and they do seem different, don't they?
Yeah.
But it's still the same actress, just being Judi Dench.
She's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, just the first time you see her in Goldeneye, you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur and a relic of the Cold War.
But she's speaking for the audience in that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Admittedly, she is just going through the motions in this one.
Yeah.
But she still elevates it.
Yeah.
Which brings us on to, which brings us on to, what's his I can't remember. I'll go to the notes. Falco, played by Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
The setting up, and this is what we forget. They were setting up a Jinx movie, Halle Berry.
Yeah. I'm glad that never happened.
Spin-off. Yeah, but this is how much faith they had, and I remember it coming out, and then eventually it gets canned because when they decided to show it all and go down the reboot. But on first viewing, I mean, one thing that really annoyed me is when she comes out of the water, and it's like, what's the point in the?
Yeah, it's just so on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's our 40th birthday, so why not reference? You know, again, there's only one woman that can do that correctly, and she probably can't do that now.
No, but she comes out of the water and she's still, I mean, it's an orange bikini, but she's got the knife holder, which makes no sense when
she's holding the Books of the West Indies by James Bond.
Yeah.
just strange. Did he not look at that and think that looks like my name?
Yeah, but it was a nice little.
Yeah.
It's like a little nod. That is like, one of the times which you break the fourth wall, and you say, "Look, now we're in the oh my god territory."
Yeah.
Which when you watch it the first time, you go, "Oh, this is a nice little in joke."
Oh, it's cool. Yeah.
You
Like when you see like Rosa Klebb shoe and the crocodile from Octopussy and.
That was that whole. I loved the bit because every time I go to London and I go on Embankment, I always go to, and I've had this photograph taken so many times, to the door to the abandoned station for abandoned agents.
Yeah.
Which is a closet.
Yeah, sorry to break
Cleans.
everyone's bubbles, but there's nothing behind it, is there?
No, it's just a cleaning company. Because I remember seeing it open once, and I had to, the James Bond fanatic kicks in, and you go, "I want to know what's in here." The door's open.
Oh, it's a set. It was a set. Damn.
Oh. No, I just wanted to know what was actually behind that door, and when the door was open, and it was just cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's so iconic when you see Big Ben, you see the Thames and everything.
London, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is the heart of Bond, isn't it?
It is. It is.
There is actually one funny line I do like that really works in the vanish bit. And he's like, "Oh, your new transportation," and that little cart just comes along and gets invisible. And he goes, "Maybe you've been down here too long."
Yeah.
I actually thought that was quite funny.
And it's not John Cleese's fault.
No.
But,
because, I mean, he's a legend as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
But, miscast.
Yeah. Desmond Llewellyn, he had in Tomorrow Never Dies. No, the world is not enough. He the bit where his last lines, which you didn't realise was going to be his, about knowing when to leave, something like.
Yeah, I've always taught you two things.
Never let them see you bleed.
Yeah. And always have an escape plan.
Yeah. That is just, and I think that of all the dialogue in any James Bond film, that is one of my all-time favourite lines, and it's.
I mean, I have the idea that he was going to retire anyway.
Yeah. That's why they used.
Yeah, but it still didn't make it any easier. It was did he not die in a car crash?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure he did.
But it was.
But I mean, he's another guy that, like Judi Dench, that never changes.
Yeah. I like what they said about when I think it was with Goldfinger was his first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How he originally was he was playing it that he was like so much respect because this is James Bond, and he was told, was it Guy Hamilton?
Yeah.
Said that you
hate this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spend all this time making this, and he brings him back damaged, and you treat him with contempt, and it's just his relationship with Bond. And I like the ones where he's got more like Living Daylights. Is it Living? Yeah, Living Daylights. Where he's got more of a role. And any times we hear more, and
License to Kill, he has a little bit more. He comes to visit him when he's like.
Oh, it's his uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, License to Kill.
Yeah. But I mean, as much as he's supposed to like think Bond's a bit of an asshole, I think he does have that underriding, like he would hate if anything happened to him, because it's like M says it in Love's Not Enough as well. Like, he's the best one I've got, but I would never tell him, because he's such an arrogant prick, isn't he?
Yeah.
But it's another sort of. It's strange because there was no Q as well. I think Guy enough days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe if he was there as well, it wouldn't feel as. I don't know. Shit. Maybe.
I mean, it's not John Cleese's fault.
No,
he was a dialogue. But yeah, he would have
lightened it up a bit.
Yeah. He would have been the perfect. I mean, was it Moneypenny was Samantha Bond?
Yeah.
She was. I didn't like her ending with the VR because that was too telegraphed.
Yeah, it was. It was funny at the time.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that much of a fan of her as Moneypenny anyway, to be honest.
Lois Maxwell or Naomi Harris for me.
Yeah.
Those
two. I like Caroline.
Caroline Bliss.
Yeah, she was quite good.
Underrated.
Yeah, but I think it's probably one of those two, isn't it?
Yeah, Lois Maxwell's the defining one, but I do like Naomi Harris's take.
Yeah,
because she's Tia Dharma in Pirates of the Caribbean, so
and Selena in 28 Days Later.
Yeah, another great film.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned about Jinx. Actually, that's a perfect segue for this because That's another thing I think lets it down. I don't think she's a great Bond girl.
No.
I preferred Miranda Frost more. I like the bad ones more. I don't know why. That says something about me, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think Rosamund Pike's great in this. I think she's like, it's just the right amount of hamminess.
Yeah. But she would have been good in a, you know, I can't really.
Yeah.
Bond, but she is. I think the inclusion of Halle Berry, and this is nothing against Halle Berry, but, you know, is it did make it. They were going somewhere. They wanted to do a spin-off, and
Yeah.
it was. She seems like it could have been her own separate movie. She's pretty much doing everything like shadowing Bond, or Bond's shadowing her.
Yeah, it feels like he's either interrupting her movie, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or she's just sort of poking into his.
Which it has the whole even look. It's got a glossy American sheen. The whole film has,
it definitely has.
which, like you said, doesn't make it feel like a Bond movie.
No, and I don't know. It's just like you say. Yeah, it feels like a backdoor pilot into something else.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't know they were making a spin-off film, Jinx film.
Yeah.
Considering all my Bond knowledge, I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, they were talking about it at the time.
Is that why they had the Michael Madsen character then? Because he would have been like M, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the mojitos, drinking mojitos. I got me. This is why we're calling this in defence of. I was drinking mojitos at the time.
I'd never even heard of it until the film. I mean, I was only a young lad back then, but
mojitos. I remember I was in Manchester when I had my first martini as well. So everybody was drinking beer, and I've got this glass. You see, it goes to show you when you get old enough to do stupid things. You know, you do, if you're a geek, you do it based on films.
it's the drink you want to try, though, isn't it? And just for anyone who hasn't tried it, it's absolutely vile.
It is.
It's disgusting, isn't it? But you have to try it because it's Bond's drink. It's just like from Thor. Good God.
I didn't actually.
Never felt so much pain in my whole life.
When I was out after I watched it, I had a couple of shots. Then we downed the beers.
How did you do that?
Then a week later, I said to my mate, I said I was really rough on this. You should sit me too. I was like, yeah, never doing that again. And that's a kid's film. And they say, don't try this at home. Don't let kids do this when you get older.
The adults are going, I'm going to drink that.
Yeah. If Thor can do it, I can do it. Oh, the DNA replacement therapy. We touched on it earlier.
Absolutely. Like, I shouldn't hate it because it's a Bond thing, isn't it? It's a very Bond thing, but it just, I don't have the amount of suspension of disbelief for it to work.
Nah.
Like, the thing with Zhao, I can get behind that because it's just changed his appearance a little bit, but not changing a Korean guy into a white English guy, it just I can't believe that.
Is that a form of cultural appropriation?
No, I think if all the little social justice warriors were around then, they would have probably banned that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Come on, you got to be very careful what you say nowadays, which we've covered in a few of the other podcasts.
Yes,
yeah. So one thing I did like is the British Airways.
Yeah.
Gotta be British Airways. The martini on there.
And the Clash.
The Clash London Callings. Which is I like that. I think that's a good way to introduce Gustav Graves.
I actually quite like that scene. Yeah. I can't remember what he says to the waitress about she says something about the drink spilling, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And he just seems like such an arsehole to be around in that. And I actually thought that was like a real Bond moment, because he's not a nice guy.
I know the Union Jack parachute. Yeah, which is a Bond thing because it's like Gustav Graves actually says he's took everything that he didn't like about Bond and modelled himself on it. Yeah, and you've got like which film is it? He used the Union Jack parachute.
Spy Love Me.
Yeah, and Buckingham Palace. Yeah, it's like going. We've got to show everything that's completely British, so we know that James Bond is a British secret agent, and they throw everything British into this whole one sequence. We see James Bond, and we see the wannabe Bond. I mean, but the thing is, we're saying that Gustav Graves is like the evil version of Bond. Yeah. Which is what he bases himself on.
Yeah.
But we've already seen that with
Many times.
Yeah. And my personal favourite well, we've got two of them. We've got Alec Trevelyan.
Yeah.
From GoldenEye, and we've got Scaramanga, the man with the golden gun.
Yeah.
So when we've already seen the alternative Bond, we don't need to have someone that's had gene replacement, DNA replacement therapy to show
and
the dark
Silver,
side of Bond.
Of course, as well.
Yeah, Silver came after.
I remember actually sitting in the cinema and my dad sort of leaned over and whispered, "Bet that's the Korean bloke from the beginning." And I was like, "Shut up, Dad." But it's not. Like, and then he was like, "Told you when it happened." So I don't know if it's telegraphed easier when you're older. Maybe did you see it coming?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I used to. This is the time where you sit through films and you just enjoy the film. Then afterwards, then you start dissecting it. Because I think if a film does its job or a TV series does its job, switch yourself off.
Yeah.
And even though it's one that really stands out for me is Pirates of the Caribbean, just before they kill Will Turner in the third one, and it's like it's so telegraphed.
Yeah.
When I was watching it, you're enjoying it so much you don't see it.
You're not in. Yeah.
You should be in the moment, not thinking about what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Because you're already taken out of the film.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It is.
I think the only thing that works in is when you're watching sort of like mystery films, and you're trying to think who's doing what.
Yeah.
But that's different. I mean, for films like this, you should just be in the moment, shouldn't you? Like there shouldn't be any overriding academic things going on until afterwards.
I think when you're saying if you're a Bond films are nonsense.
Yeah, of course they are. Yeah.
But if you're actually knowing what's coming ahead, it's not.
It's not fun, is it?
No.
You're not. You're supposed to be enjoying what's happening now.
Yeah.
And I think like Bond is all about the here and now, isn't it? Like look at this car chase, look at this gadget, look at this guy I've just punched in the face, or like very much like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I don't think you should think too far ahead with those either.
No. Because if you do analyse it, you end up finding
what is going on here?
Yeah. But even if you break down, I mean, could you just plug? We're doing our 40 years of Raiders celebration this year, and I don't care how nonsense they are. They are fun films. The Indiana Jones are. The same with James Bond, except for whereas we'll soon have 5 Indiana Jones films. We're very soon going to have 25 James Bond.
25, my God.
Yeah. And this is where, if anyone's curious as to how many we actually own, both of us can safely say we own 24 of the 25.
We do, and none of the unofficial ones.
No.
Although we have seen them, I think. Have we?
No, I haven't seen all of them.
Oh, you haven't? You've seen Casino Royale?
No, I've seen bits of it.
Yeah,
I switched it off.
I've never seen Never Again on Stealth. I would imagine we've both seen that. So.
I started watching it and got bored. I'll admit it, I got bored. But I want it.
Yeah, it's weird.
Octopussy made more money.
We may do that one day. I think just to sort of look at the differences.
I think that might be for next year because we will do next year. It is the 60th anniversary of Eon's James Bond.
We may just do a year long celebration again.
Like just gonna Raiders. There's going to be 20. There's 25 James Bonds, and this is so we've got next year. We've got an excuse to sit down, do 25 audio commentaries, and then dissect 25 films again. So we've already done a few on the pod.
Yeah.
So
I think as well. I don't know whether out of order, maybe as well, so we can pick and choose.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is what I like about these in defence of is that we can find things in this.
I mean, this was hard, but it wasn't anywhere near as hard as Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, that was a terrible.
I literally struggled so hard with that one. Whereas I had fun with this at least. I did watch it and think, you know what? It's not as bad as I remembered it being. I think I was just sort of we all got Bond snobs in us, haven't we?
Yeah.
Like, oh well, that's Casino Royale's closer to the novel character, and it doesn't matter sometimes. It really doesn't.
You talk about Bond snobs, and I'm going to admit that for a long while, as I got older, I was not Roger Moore, Roger Moore.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, Roger Moore made one good James Bond film, It's called Man with a Golden Gun. Then when you get older, you go, I'm just gonna go pick up Octopussy.
Yeah.
And watch Octopussy. And
Live and Let Die. It's actually good.
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, I like Live and Let Die.
Not Live and Let Die. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Live and Let Die is good. Sorry, I had a no. Live and Let Die is good. I was thinking of View to a Kill.
Oh, View to a Kill. Yeah.
View to a Kill. No. Live and Let Die is actually for me is a continuation of.
Yeah, it's quite a
Connery.
So the seriousness is still there a little bit, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, now you can sort of watch Roger Moore and be like, that's the Bond I always remembered.
Yeah.
Although, like, Connery is my favourite, but I'm kind of in the boring. Everyone thinks Pulp Fiction is Quentin Tarantino's favourite film. Camp there with Bond, but Connery's my favourite because it's just he's the academic favourite, isn't he? So I feel somewhat snobbish having that point of view, but I do actually think Brosnan is good as well. Like, if we're on the subject of what Bonds are good, I think he's brilliant. So and those flashes of that in this film, that's what frustrates me. Like, he's still there, but I think he's just mired under all that bad dialogue and CGI, and
it's stuff that seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah,
and is keeping to the formula of the Connery formula.
Yeah.
He is, like we said before in here, he's a continuation. But I think they were going down a path that was going to get eventually, if they hadn't gone all out of a 20-year celebration.
Yeah.
No, 40.
40. Yeah,
40. Yeah, I think I was wrong when I said
no,
that.
it's okay.
40-year celebration, 20 Bond films. If they hadn't done that, they would have continued, and it would have been diminishing returns. They needed full stop.
Start again.
Yeah.
I think you'd have ended up with a Batman and Robin, wouldn't you? Situation, because that was 8 years, wasn't it, till we got another Batman film. Essentially killed that franchise, didn't it?
And the genre.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, I think the reason Die Another Day went the way it did is because of you've got X-Men had just started up at the early 2000s.
Yeah.
The Star Wars prequels, so it's not really. Harry Potter was on its second film that year, and I think it's not a coincidence that we got a CGI laden James Bond film.
No, it's the big thing.
In any honesty, is it really?
No. It really, I 100% agree. It was a product of its time.
Yeah, I think as they all are.
Yeah.
Connery is definitely that's the 60s, and then Moore is the 70s and 80s embodied, isn't he? Although I do kind of go with the fact that I think that Dalton is more of an 80s guy.
I think
it's a hard one, isn't it?
To me, Dalton is too soon.
Yeah.
I think the James Bond comfort zone killed him, but I think we'll go more into that next year when we do Living Daylights.
Yeah.
And License to Kill. I think I could not sit down and do an in defense of the Living Daylights because to me
it's already great.
Yeah. And
I really like License to Kill. I think it's one of the unsung. It's like the Last Jedi of James Bond. Like, it did things that were totally different and nobody liked it, and now they kind of think, oh, maybe it was worth considering.
It was 89. It was the Die Hard.
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon. Even Michael Kamen doing the
score. Yeah.
It does. You listen to it, you think Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
And he's. Yeah, it's. I think we're gonna have some
good
gruesome as well.
Yeah, very. A lot of people have said it's like Miami Vice, Scarface meets James Bond.
Yeah.
And it is like if you separated it from James Bond, I think it'd be a really good, decent action thriller.
I do 100%.
And
the little subtleties which you only notice when you're older about with the Christian or whatever it is, the church.
Oh, the code.
And,
yeah.
And they're actually using the thing to the prices of the cocaine.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is actually very clever in a
it's
James Bond movie.
You even forget it's a Bond film sometimes, don't you? I think you think, this is quite a good action. Oh wait, James Bond's in this.
Yeah. And the gruesome thing with the shark.
Yeah, and the grinder at the end.
Yeah.
A young
Guy's head exploding.
Benicio.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, I think like now that's all we want, isn't it? From Bond, we want the dark and we want the violent and the brooding and that. But I just like you say, there was a Bond comfort zone, and that had broke that sort of gone past the line, hadn't it?
Yeah.
And then I think Dine Over Day put that line back.
Yeah. Yeah, we need it, but then again, it also came out at the same time as the Bourne films. So we were looking for gritty, and Taken. It was that kind of period.
We maybe owe the Bourne films, ironically, for the Craig Bond outlook. Because I mean, there's a fight in I Quantum of Solace, where he fights the guy in the hotel room, kills him with the scissors.
Yeah.
And the way it's one of those god awfully like too fast cut action sequences like they do nowadays, but it reminded me of Bourne, like, and I hated to admit it to myself, but I was kind of like, that's kind of like Bourne.
The Quantum, to me, I enjoy the film, but it's more of an epilogue to Casino Royale.
Yeah,
it's not a Bond. It's not a true Bond film. It's more of a, this is what happened just afterwards. We're going to tie up all the ends. Which they needed. They went to Skyfall afterwards, which was the modern day Goldfinger.
Yeah, a clean sort of new storyline and not related to the other ones. And I mean, it's kind of ongoing in the background, isn't it? Like the Vesper thing, and like especially in Spectre, when it brings all that stuff quite full circle, doesn't it? But yeah, Skyfall was what it needed as well. Like just a sort of clean storyline, just get on with it. But it's done that loads of times, hasn't it? I mean, if anything, it's proved that the longevity is always going to be there.
People will all, like going back to what we said at the start, it's ingrained in our culture.
Yeah. And
people like ourselves will always go and see a James Bond film. It's I suppose, I mean, it is like a religion. You will go and do it, and people will follow it, because how many? It's like the same with Batman or Spider-Man. How many chances are you going to give them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it just wears Bond films wear their hearts on their sleeves, don't they? I mean, quote the good people at Ron Seal. It does what it does. It says on the tin, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just, you're gonna get action. You're gonna get girls. You're gonna get cars and bad guys. Like, what more do you want?
Exactly. I was looking at my notes right now. We've got the names, the stupid names, Miranda Frost. Miranda Frost, Ice Palace, and
Gustav Graves.
Yeah,
such a rubbish name, isn't it? I don't know what I think is the worst name in Bond. It's probably either BB Dahl or Christmas Jones. Yeah.
Honey Rider, Pussy Galore, Octopussy, Mayday, Xenia on a top, who kills people by
literally being on top of them.
Yeah. I wrote down a little note about Gone. I called it the Gone Too Far. The Ice Palace, the henchman named Mr. Kill, the big space laser, which reminded me of Under Siege 2.
Oh yeah, God yeah.
Called Icarus. The film sets they lack the depth and the lighting. I thought the lighting was terrible, which is the first time in a James Bond film, because they made it look plastic, and the digital over practical. But we've already discussed that because it was a product of its time.
It was that sort of, I don't know, weird like jelly looking CGI, isn't it? Like Day After Tomorrow water CGI.
The Ride the Tsunami bit, that was terrible at the end, and that is bad. Yeah. And that's why, I mean, I know George Lucas always argued that CG is as real as puppets, but practical.
It has to be mixed with that.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? I mean, the best CG is only augmenting what's already there. It's just, you just know as soon as you see that scene that that's not really happening, and that's a cardinal sin in a Bond film. After like all the stunts are always 100% real, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like like the scene in Raiders on the truck. That's a fucking guy doing that.
Yeah.
Like you never get away with that now.
Nah. and that is the one step too far. But like
Yeah.
we've already said, then it is all the negatives in terms of production value. It's because that's what everybody else was doing at the
Yeah.
time, and ultimately, what's it called? It's called the movie business, movie industry,
Yeah, it makes money.
and they can't. If something works, you do it, and if something doesn't work, you go back to the drawing board, which they did.
You just repeat it till it makes no money, and you try something else,
Yeah.
don't you? I mean, horror did it for 2 decades, didn't it?
And James Bond, you can actually, if you go from Doctor No right through to No Time to Die, you can actually see where these things start to go wrong, and then they said, okay, we're going to reboot it with On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That didn't work, so we're gonna get Sean Connery back so that we can continue getting back for one film. Then
Yeah.
go, okay, we can do Roger Moore. Then that got to Have You to a Kill. Didn't work with the Dalton ones because he was too far ahead of his time. So we go back to the drawing board again and go straight back to what works.
Yeah.
Which brings us to Die Another Day.
Yeah, it's a peak and trough graph, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and you can see the trends as they happen and as they fall off, and
Who was popular in the music industry at the time? Although I think
Yeah,
Madonna
exactly.
was about 12 years too late.
yeah, I mean, it's another strange franchise, isn't it? Because I think it's probably the longest running film franchise, isn't it?
Individual series, yes.
Yeah. So you're always going to see the changes throughout the decades reflected in that, and I don't think a lot of other film series have, I can't think of many that can do it, that can sustain that amount of change that long. Like, I mean, there's breaks in a lot of them, isn't there? You know, like Die Hard, Indiana Jones, and Star Trek occasionally has gaps, doesn't it? But none that are ongoing, and you can see the changes as they happen.
I mean, the biggest breaks with Bond was between, I think it was due to rights and licensing, was
Yeah, it's
between
strange.
License to Kill and GoldenEye. Then you've got Die Another Day and Casino Royale, and any other ones that have been post Spectre has been due to the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we were supposed to have had it was supposed to come out May 2020 with No Time to Die. That was all. That was locked. That was ready to be released, and then in a couple of weeks before, COVID happened.
Yeah.
So this period, and of course, to get Craig back. So between Spectre and No Time to Die, I mean, there's so many contributing factors in that, but it's not because of we're having to do this. It's all because there's stuff that's just not. But you're right, and if you go back to say Goldfinger, you say about the time. Saying about the times, you've got was it drinking a Bollinger such and such at room temperature is like listening to the Beatles without earmuffs.
Yeah.
And that is like at the time like you got that wrong, and that was 64, yeah, just as the Beatles to a boy band that were just becoming big.
There is a few references in the novels to the fact that Bond doesn't like the Beatles as well, so I'm just assuming that Ian Fleming didn't as well.
All I can say is live and let die.
Yeah, exactly. They
George
ended up
Martin.
getting a Beatle to sing it as well, didn't they?
Yeah, and George Martin, wasn't he there?
He did the soundtrack, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got a Beatle and the Beatles producer to actually do a Bond film.
Ironic.
Yeah. But that's another thing. I mean, I know we were discussing this the other day. You don't like Quantum of Solace?
I don't.
I mean, the music. Sorry, the music, not the film.
Oh yeah, no.
Another way to
Sounds
die,
terrible,
and that's to me the credit sequence is an important part. And this, the credit sequence, if you put it with a different song, the torture sequence, is actually good.
Yeah.
I think that if it had a better song, it would have worked, because I thought the whole techno-y, dancey...
Yeah, it's just a bit... doesn't work with Bond, does it? It has to be that classical, orchestra-driven, like Skyfall.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you hear that, you think, that's Bond. That sounds like John Barry. Those trumpet flourishes, and it's just... It's like this... I think GoldenEye suffers from that as well. That's got a bad song.
I like is it Tom Arnold? There's no.
Yeah, he's a good composer. Yeah,
David Arnold. David
David
Arnold.
Arnold. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a great composer.
Yeah,
Just
he is very good.
that this song is just.
Yeah, there's a guy called Eric Serra did the Goldeneye soundtrack, and he works with Luc Besson a lot. He does like sort of electronic things. I just don't think Bond suits being done like that. It just doesn't sound right. I mean, it's different in like the 80s. Electronic meant synthesizer, which is cool, you know. But like, if Due to a Kill sounds great, and
I love that
Living
soundtrack.
Daylights is great as. But then you've got weird things like All Time High, which doesn't really sound like a Bond song. It sounds like a power. I don't know, like a love song, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of doesn't really go.
Musically, in terms of I like A View to a Kill and The Living Daylights, Duran Duran, Aha.
The 80s.
But
Great, isn't it?
because it is John Barry.
Yeah.
But in terms of what makes a great James Bond song, Shirley Bassey, Goldfinger,
Yeah.
and Adele's Skyfall. If you want to pick the two defining James Bond songs, I would say that it's those two.
100%. Yeah, I would agree with that. Definitely. And probably nobody does it better as well.
Oh yeah.
I think that's one of those weird Bond songs that you hear in everything, isn't it? Like it's
Yeah.
in a lot of films. But yeah, no, I like as soon as you hear it, you think, yeah, that's a Bond song. License to Kill is another good one, where you hear it and think Bond song right away. So, and as soon as that happens, then that's me already half sold on the film.
Yeah.
That's kind of why Die Another Day was like, oh, at first, because I already don't like Madonna anyway, so.
I can tolerate Madonna.
Yeah.
But I did like, I know completely different and more in your face was Casino Royale.
Yeah, yeah. See that, as soon as you hear that, you think Bond.
Yeah. Bond's first. Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
Late great Chris Cornell.
Yeah. But I mean, even the title of the song, My Name.
Yeah.
Of course you know who it is. Look, he's back.
A little, I mean, that's the only nod to the camera, I suppose. You can
Yeah,
argue.
Yeah.
And
You know me.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be almost our podcast itself, couldn't it? Bond songs.
Coming soon to the High Ground podcast in 2022.
I'm thinking that would probably have to be a special, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause,
What,
I mean, you could just do that for so long.
well, that would. I really, because I mean, there's so much we will be covering on that. But I just want to say one of the. I think we might have covered this. I think one of the best things that came out of this film is Casino Royale.
Yeah.
Because we've got a great. I know Quantum of Solace isn't as up with Casino and definitely on Skyfall and Spectre, but I think consistently, I think Daniel Craig's Bonds have been fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, his perception of the character has been the mainstay in force. Even if the film hasn't been great, it's still the main draw is Daniel Craig as Bond for me. And yeah, the Skyfall, it's just a perfect performance by him.
I also think that, I know we touched on these kind of showcases at the times and everything. Is that in Spectre, you got the thing that was supposed to be Piz Gloria, which is from Her Majesty's Secret Service. We let the modern day Bond, Daniel Craig's Bonds, get away with doing things like that, but because they do it because they literally, rather than saying, well, we've done all these before, but in a new timeline we're just going to pick things. The Assassin's Daughter.
Yeah.
It's very much again on you got the Contessa from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. You got the end, which is very much like On Her Majesty's Secret Service. We're talking about Spectre here, but we can let it get away with it with Daniel Craig because of the grittiness and everything.
Yeah.
But when they do it in Die Another Day, like with Halle Berry coming out of the water, the nods to the other films, it comes across as a joke and Austin Powery. But yet, when they do the similar sort of things with Daniel Craig's Bond,
it doesn't seem as self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I think it's rather interesting.
Some of the comedy is a bit more well timed now as well with Craig. It's more like dark humour, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or I mean, there is probably my favourite line in the whole load of his films. It's not actually delivered by him, but you know in Spectre when Mallory says to what's the guy called that Andrew Scott plays? The bad guy that's like C, isn't it?
C.
Now
I will call you C.
Now we all know what C stands for.
Oh.
And you're thinking, careless, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking something else.
Yeah, it was something. Oh.
But I really like that line. I think that's.
Oh, he's. It's just the way Bond and Mallory and Bond comes in just doesn't like C at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like the new sort of modern villain, isn't he? The sleazy politician.
Yeah.
Is probably more dangerous than the megalomaniacal Blofeld.
But I think. Yeah, I think I've always said that the best Bond villains are the ones
Shadows.
Yeah. Gustav Graves just wasn't that. He was
trying to be, wasn't he? And he was too
smarmy.
Pompous, and yeah, he would have just been better staying as the guy from the start.
Yeah.
You know, just like a warlord. It's like a typical sort of safe Bond villain, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, it's like I said, this is James Bond's greatest hits.
Yeah, it is essentially. It's kind of a Terminator Genesis, isn't it, of Bond?
Yeah.
Like all the best scenes, or all the ones we all know, are there somewhere, or referenced.
If you ever want a greatest hits movie, just watch Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, but that's done like perfectly as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think we've done a really good job. This is my personal opinion of defending it, and it's.
There was a lot more there than I thought there was going to be.
Yeah.
Because when I first suggested it, we were kind of both like, oh, weren't we?
Yeah.
But I actually did have quite a lot of fun rewatching it, I must admit.
You're biased. You're a James Bond fan. I'm a James Bond fan.
We try to find something.
Yeah. It got us to a debate which we had a while ago, and it's something which we will touch on next year. Is what is a great gateway Bond film? And when we were discussing this a few weeks ago, Die Another Day never came up.
No, we wouldn't have even dreamed, would we?
No. But I would really recommend if if someone's never seen James Bond, Die Another Day is the perfect gateway movie.
Yeah.
Because that way, if you've watched Die Another Day, you can decide whether or not you would want to. You go, well, do you want to go the gritty path? Do you want to go down a real gritty path? Do you want to go? You just want to have it nice and light.
Yeah.
And that's.
Yeah, I think that's completely spot on. Actually, I mean, if you had no idea about what Bond was or what he did, or which is quite hard, but you know, if someone was looking to get into it, and yeah, I would never have considered it before, but yeah, I think you try and as a fan, it's the hardest question to be asked, isn't it? Because you're instantly searching the Rolodex of your mind for, well, this one does this, but no, this one does that, and that Bond's not as good as that, and you're your own worst enemy of trying to suggest it to someone, aren't you? So I think it's the safe bet. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Any more words on?
I'm just surprised, to be honest, how much I did actually not look at my phone at all and enjoy it, and it is what it is, isn't it? It's just like you say, it's as well, it's a product of the time, and as long as you accept that, I can actually learn to give it the spot up from worst Bond film now, and I've now decided that Diamonds Are Forever is worse. So
I'm gonna wait till I sat down and watched all 25 of them again, then I'll.
It's a decision not reached lightly.
Nah, yeah. I mean, it's like saying this is like saying what's your favourite James Bond film. I mean, for me at the moment, it's On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but you just know that could change.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've got, but then again, if someone asks me about James Bond, you always go for the stock one, which is Goldfinger. To me, Goldfinger is the one you go
for. It's the definitive, isn't it? But I mean, you know, every Bond film is someone's favourite, isn't it? So it's an impossible question in a sense. I mean, yeah, you can go down the academic route and say Goldfinger is because it did this, it did that, it defined this and that. But then, if all you want's just a good time, then maybe Die Another Day is your favourite, and that's okay.
I do completely agree. It is the good time James Bond movie.
Yeah.
It is.
And I suppose you watch films to have a good time, don't you? So
Yeah.
what else? I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, there's no harm in it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it and we've just ruined a lot of it for you, watch Die Another Day.
Yeah.
This has been in defense of, and I think it's been a damn good in defense of.
It's more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, we've just defended Die Another Day. I think that's very successfully defended.
An achievement.
Yeah. I'm Stevie.
I'm Callum.